Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of BlackLantic with a crossover with SummerSoulsa. We are so excited to be here at this festival today. We've got with us Kirk Diamond, 180, and Yaseti John. And we're going to run through these bios, and then we're going to jump right into this conversation because we don't want to waste any time with these amazing artists.
Absolutely. My name is Clinton Davis, and this is Hillary, aka Cropberry. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, follow, comment, like. Anything you do really helps support the channel. All right, so let's get into it. So first off, to my right, I'm going to introduce Kirk Diamond. Kirk Diamond is a Jamaican-Canadian reggae and dancehall singer-songwriter, producer, and entrepreneur based in Brampton, Ontario. In 2018, Kirk won a Juno for Reggae Recording of the Year and another Juno this year. Really, really amazing. It's all amazing. The city of Brampton recently named a park after Kirk. So
I've
that's
never heard
legacy.
of that.
That's
Awesome.
legacy. That's legacy.
That's
People,
amazing.
decades from now, people may forget who won what Juno, but a park.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right.
Amazing. Next up, we've got 180. 180 we've mentioned on the show several times. 180 has released 5 independent studio albums, with Reverence winning a 2017 Covenant Award for Rap Album of the Year and Ventilation being nominated for a 2019 ECMA Award and 2 2019 Covenant Awards. In 2021, he won the Music New Brunswick Award for Song of the Year and became the first Black artist to ever win a Music New Brunswick Award, and that was not where it stopped. 2022, 180 won an ECMA for Rap Hip Hop Recording of the Year and also took home 2 2022 Covenant Awards through Gospel Music Association of Canada. My goodness.
What am I doing here?
Well, you're next up.
You the party, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we have Yaseti John, an amazing performer and very deserving of being here. Jokes aside, Yaseti John experienced a bit of fame with his first band, F2S, Frères.
Frères de sang.
Thank you
Oui.
so much.
Okay.
Ah, ça va?
Your French is good.
Ben, je sais.
We make a good team. As a teenager in Congo, Brazzaville, he moved to Quebec 5 years ago, and ever since has had considerable success on digital platforms, garnering millions of streams and views for songs delivered in both French and Lingala.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really hope that this panel conversation is useful for emerging artists, and your collective wisdom in this industry is really, really appreciated. I'm sure for anyone listening, be appreciated for me because I'm the only non-musical person here. So I'm going to be very much listening and learning.
Well, that's part of why we love doing this.
Yeah.
Every week, we learn a lot from the people that we talk to. So 180, I'm going to ask you a question first. Being the first Black artist to win the Music NB Award is a significant achievement. How do you see this influencing the future of music in New Brunswick?
Yeah, well, I mean, the short, quick answer is, it puts us in a position where, we have to be acknowledged now, and for me, that's the most important part because I mean, we made it to 2021 without a Black artist winning a Music New Brunswick Award. We've got a lot of talent, a lot of Black talent in New Brunswick for musicians and artists. So that's kind of the big part for me, is that it kind of opened up a door that now allows me to I actually ended up joining the board. Yep. So that I could actually be in those conversations going forward. So understanding that, music, doing what we do on stage sometimes can only last so long. I wanted to kind of do something that can benefit people and last a long time after I'm done on there, right? So
You're trying to build a legacy of your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knowing that at least in New Brunswick, Black artists haven't been represented in the music industry.
Yeah, there's a lot
across all of Canada, but especially in New Brunswick.
There's a lot of things you can be remembered for, and I hope that my music is remembered going forward. But this is kind of something that it'll really mean something for the generations after me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yasati-John, I'm super curious because obviously you grew up in Congo, you spent some time in the States, and now you're in Quebec. What's one piece of advice you'd give to young artists that are trying to break into the Quebec rap scene, especially given its rich diversity? And I'd like to also caveat, given what I would say might be some racial issues that are withstanding in Quebec as well.
Well, I mean, the advice I would give to anyone is just to persevere. Like, believe in yourself. It can sound a little cliche, a little like, but you really have to believe in yourself and just persevere. If that's what you love, that's your passion, you go for it. I think no matter where you are, whether in Quebec or Ontario, whatever, if you just follow your passion, that's pretty much what I do. Because like you said, I went to the States. I went for school. I finished school, but I was still making music. It's like a passion of ours. Like in my family, everybody makes music. My dad is in the military. He did music. My mom was she worked in telecom, but she has gospel albums. Like my grandpa is journalist, but it was it's just like everybody in my family. It's like something that everybody does. So it's our passion, and thank God now, like you said, in my case, I'm getting more acknowledgement now. I'm getting more exposure, which is good because we've been doing it for quite some time. But it feels good now. For the other part of your question, I think it's not only in Quebec. I mean, there are a lot of problems, for sure. But what I try always to do is to see the positive side, because in my country we say it's not because you used to vinegar and you want sugar that you don't appreciate water, That means that it's not because it's bad right now that you envision or you hope for something way better like sugar, but at least appreciate the moment that you drink the water, even if you have no taste.
Right.
So we appreciate every day. We know there are a lot of changes, a lot of things that are becoming better, and we're loving it. So shout out to everybody in charge in Quebec because they're really moving things around for everybody, I think.
It's amazing.
Thank you. Kirk, as an established figure in the Canadian reggae and dancehall scene, what guidance can you offer to emerging artists on building a strong and authentic brand?
They have to be true to themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people like to follow the trends of what's happening in Jamaica. Yeah, but because we live in Canada and the diaspora is here as well, right? We have to be true to our reality, right? We have to speak what we know, the experiences that we know. Because if like, for example, if we were supposed to say, okay, in Jamaica, this is what is happening. If we're not in Jamaica, we cannot relate to their experiences 100%, right? We can relate to the Canadian Jamaican experience or the Canadian Black experience, right? Not necessarily the Jamaican in Jamaica experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I find that a lot of artists, they try to relate to what is popular on radio or what they hear streaming, but it doesn't translate to what anybody can relate to. So, yeah, my answer is, just be true to yourself and your reality.
Yeah. If you try to carbon copy someone else,
work.
that might get you a little ways, but it's not going to break you through that
Yeah.
ceiling to the next
Yeah.
level.
Amazing.
That's a good answer.
180, your journey from facing homelessness to addiction to becoming a renowned hip hop artist is truly inspirational. And we know anyone who watches BlackLantic knows that I know a lot about the addiction part, not the homeless part. Can you shed some light on how you found the strength to turn all of this around and become so successful?
Yeah, well, I think it kind of goes back to the answers that these two brothers here already gave. Is one, persevering, and two, being true to myself, and acknowledging the circumstance and finding the positive. So, and some people would ask, like, well, where's the positive in that stuff? But I make rap music. I'm a hip hop artist. That stuff actually sells, like I have material, so the positive out of it was, that like my first album was so heavy with stuff, right? Because like, you know, a lot of artists say, well, I've been building that album for my whole life. Well, you know, I kind of was, and all of those experiences kind of went into there. So I got a good start, you know. Like the first release was good, and because of the fact that I was true to who I am and what I've been through, and I don't shy away from the bad stuff, you know. Like if you go through any of my music or any of my socials, like I'm pretty open about my struggles as well as my wins, you know, because I think that there could be somebody who, as artists, people put us in certain places sometimes that we don't necessarily ask for, but that's where we end up. And we got to be mindful of that sometimes, that there is a responsibility with that. And I have to acknowledge that I might not be the only one going through something. And if I share it, somebody who might have me in that place might actually need to hear that from me that day, you know, and it might impact them. So I guess the quick answer is exactly what I said, is just being true to myself, and we plug through anyway. Like grocery bill's gonna come next week no matter what I'm going through, you know? So I gotta keep going, right?
Absolutely.
Hopefully the check from SummerSoulsa will come earlier, but
Yeah. We're not in charge of that part.
so you can cover the groceries, you know what I mean?
Right, right. Yeah.
So we're already hearing from all three artists that like being unique and true to yourself is an amazing thing, and for you, Tia, or 180 is like, yeah, even though rap, you know, traditionally, you know, known for being hard and presenting this image, you found success in being vulnerable,
Vulnerability,
and
man.
honest.
Because for me, that's kind of stuff that I missed from artists that I liked, you know, or looked up to, is that everything was they're always making money, or they're always doing this, or they're all, you know what I mean? And you know, it's like Kirk said, like I can't, if I'm dealing with homelessness or addiction at that time, I can't relate to those stories. You know what I mean? And so who's making something for those people who are dealing with that, right? And I saw a hole, tried to fill it.
Yeah, amazing.
Next question is for you, Seti.
Yes, sir.
So your journey from Congo to Brazzaville to the US and then Quebec is pretty fascinating. And you made the joke last night that you grew up in the States and you speak French. That was funny. How have these cultural shifts influenced your music and identity as an artist? And I know Kirk touched on this, but also, you know, what advice do you have for artists who have grown up in multiple different places, trying to make a name for themselves in Canada? Bit of a two-part question.
I mean, in my case, I think it's just a matter of bringing something new. While both of them have spoke about it, you know, staying true to myself. It's like, you know, in my example, I'll mention Quebec more because Quebec is like, it's very different from, I guess, the rest of Canada, because like the ecosystem and the music industry is pretty different. So for them, I wouldn't say it's pretty new, but seeing like Afro influenced music is pretty new in Quebec, like mainstream. You know, like they see my songs on TV, they sing my songs on like mainstream TV shows and stuff like that. For them, it's pretty new. So that's what I kind of like, the fact that I'm bringing a part of myself, you know, in Quebec. I was born in the Congo. Just to give you a quick thing, I was born in the Congo. Went to Ghana, spent a year in Ghana, and then went to the States, spent almost 10 years, but moved through the States, Pittsburgh first, and then Indianapolis, and then Chicago, and then came to Quebec, Montreal, and then moved to Laval. So it's like I'm a bird, kind of. So that's what you feel in my music, you know. In my music, you have some boom bap. Sometimes it kind of, I would say, it kind of stain a little bit my identity, because people say, but what'd you do? Because we see you everywhere. But it's me. Like it's hard for me to be different, because I can do boom bap. Like my performance yesterday, I did some rap, I did some drill, I did some Afrobeat, I did some country rap. It's a part of me, and the countryside is the Indianapolis, you know, because you know it's a country town, stuff like that. So that's what I try to bring. You know, it's very natural. I wouldn't tell you what advice or anything like that. It's like when I go in the studio, it's like it's the mood of the moment. If I feel like I've heard like 2 days ago, I wrote a song, just acoustic guitar, because I listen to Talk all week. I don't know if you guys know Talk. This, a little bit happy. what's the song? Like he has two great songs right now on the radio. His name is Talk, but it's big right now. But I listened to his album the whole week, and it's way different from what I do. But it just inspired me. I went to the studio. We did a little song with guitar, like acoustic guitar and stuff like that. And then 2 days later, I did some boom bap. So it's like, you know, it's about how I feel at the moment, and then that's what you see in my music. So the only advice is follow your intuition, follow what you feel. Don't put yourself barriers, because a lot of people are like, oh, why are you getting outside of your comfort zone and stuff like that? No, like me, I rap, but I can dance like I just came from Africa yesterday.
Right.
You know, so it's like.
And it also sounds like you'd encourage artists to not be afraid to listen to
No.
music outside of their genre.
Of course.
Step outside of their genre to
Especially now, bro. Especially
find
now.
creativity. Yeah.
Look at how, like, for example, Afro music is big now in the States. Back then, when I moved to the States, like Afro beat in the club, you couldn't hear nothing, man. Like nothing. Today I go to the biggest shopping center in Laval. It's called Carrefour Laval. It's like, but like all the stores from Versace to Gucci to they all have Afrobeat on. Like it's crazy, you know. So nowadays you can't really just be like, oh, I just do rap or I just do pop. You have to mix in, because like music is changing, you know.
I think that's important, and we've discussed on BlackLantic before the fact that like African music, black music, whatever you want to call it, is like the root of so many genres of music that I really just think that I don't know if it's people realizing the difference between appreciation versus appropriation. If we needed the murder of George Floyd to sort of really go forward with the fact that like you can be playing Afrobeat in Versace and people are still going to consider it luxury. This is music of luxury. It's not ruining a brand, and I think that that's important. Music doesn't tarnish things. It's a celebration. It's joy.
And that's a good
I think that's important.
I'd say it's the root of all music in North America.
I think so. I think
Every genre.
So, Kirk, as we've already discussed, your EP Greater won the Juno Award for Reggae Recording of the Year in 2018. And we're curious how this accolade and recognition sort of changed, if all, the trajectory of your career.
Well, the whole Juno's journey was actually a bet. It was a bet because I didn't know what the Junos was.
Right.
Right? So, because like growing up Jamaican, we always heard about the Grammy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
So I've never heard about the Juno, right? So I mean, coming up in Toronto, like in the dancehall scene and stuff like that, we were getting like community awards, and we were excited because like any acknowledgements from your peers or your community is like the biggest thing in the world to you. And then the studio that I was working at, the owner for the studio, he was managing an artist by the name of Esco Levi, who won 5 Junos. And I showed him like the community award, and I was like, yo, Jeff, look what I got. And he was like, that's not an award.
Of course it's an award.
Right? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yo, talk to me when you get a Juno. I was like, what the hell is a Juno? You know what I mean? But I took it like a disrespect. Like, he's saying that I can't get one. Like the way he said it, it was like, when you get a Juno, then you could talk to me. So, 2 years later, I got one.
Nice.
But,
Bet.
not like that was, like, that's why I went there. But then being in that room, 2018, Bare Naked Ladies and all those people was there. Alanis Morissette and all that. Right? To be in a room with them, and it was some anniversary for that song with Cardinal and
Shaka Claire.
Yeah,
Shaka T.
yeah, Northern Touch. It was
Northern Touch.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
it was the anniversary for that. So they performed it, but to be in a room with these people and they're looking at you, they're not looking at you like, oh, you're the Jamaican kid from Toronto or not. Like, they're looking at you like you're our peer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I walked in a room and it's like
Supposed to be there.
you're supposed to be there. That changed your outlook on yourself. You know what I mean? Instead of someone that is paying you $20 an hour in a studio, standing up in a closet, recording and, wondering who's going to play the music.
Bro, what studio you have $20? I need that.
No, well,
I need that, man. Nowadays we can't find no more, man. I need that.
No, that's what I'm
Show
saying.
me a plug, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for $20 studio, we standing up and the microphone was in the closet.
I feel you, bro.
You know?
Absolutely.
And now the microphone's in the hotel room. Like, there's no difference, but, it kind of did change. Not kind of, it did. But what a lot of people don't realize about my music is that people are listening to my therapy in music form. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Especially with, being an immigrant to this country, right? It's almost like I'm stuck in limbo. I'm not sure if it's the same for you. You were born here?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not sure if it's the same for you, where it's like, now I'm too Canadian to be Jamaican, but I'm too Jamaican to be Canadian.
That
Right.
happens a lot.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's always having to prove, not to them, but to myself, as to why I belong in the spaces that I belong and why I belong in the career that I'm in. You know?
It's amazing.
So the Juno was sort of a certification for
Yeah.
others in the music industry to say that, like others higher up in the music industry, to say that you are, because you said you felt more like a peer, or they looked at you more like a peer.
Like a peer,
And
yeah.
You feel that was because of in part to the Juno.
Yeah, definitely. Because where else are you gonna see like
Have
the
all those people
Weekend and
together.
all those people?
Right.
Right. The difference though is like, so Juno's Saturday and Sunday, and the Monday, maybe 60% of them are going on tour, while I'm going to work. You know what I mean? So, but it gives you something else to aim at. It gives you
Right.
another goal as to like, okay, what are they doing that you're not doing? Right? So now it's like you see people, like that's why I try to go back as much as possible, because I'm on my 5th nomination now.
Amazing.
You're not going to learn everything on your one time being there, right? The first time you get there, it's like shock value, like, oh my God, I'm here.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you're seeing people
yeah.
coming over and shaking your hand, Celine Dion and all these people that you only hear about. Michael Bublé, I met him in 2015,
Yeah.
right? And he knew my song, right? That alone, like, forget everything else for the rest of the weekend. I don't remember anything else, right? And then it's like, okay, I didn't do something right because my career isn't going the way it was supposed to go, right? So then you go back again, it's like, okay, I need to look out for this,
Right.
right? I need to plug with this PR. I need to plug with, you know what I mean, this manager, this booking agency or whatever, right? So that's how I use the Juno, not
Right.
just for that.
For business
Yeah.
meetings.
I was
Yeah, exactly.
I was
Business trip.
around for last year's, like sort of the Juno weekends that they had in Toronto, and somehow found myself like in these networking spaces. And it's very much what you describe of like there's this like I even in that space without like all those big names, it was like shock value also, what was I doing there? But then I saw all of the people sort of learning, like networking, coming together. Who do you work with? Who do you work for? How are you making a name for yourself and growing? And I think that that's probably the most useful part of all of it, is how like the wisdom and information that you collate before you then try to propel again and again. And I mean, you won again, so there you go.
Wow, amazing. We're going to ask a couple general questions that will apply to each of you. And then based on how much time we have left, we might ask a couple more individual. So 180, I'll start with you. And this is meant to be a bit of a broad question, but in your opinion, what is the state of black music in Canada today?
That's a tough question to answer.
I know, right?
Because I think that, I mean, if you're talking to us as artists, like as an artist who's also like a really big music fan, like I'm a fan of both of these. I was supposed to be preparing for my set. I'm standing backstage last night hyping this guy. Like, my guitar player was like, "You sure you good?" I was like, "I'll figure it out, man." But like, so to ask me in that setting, like I say, it's in a great spot. But then I'm always reminded that, however great it is, we're still pushing. You know what I mean? Like the open doors that we have that are there for us now are there because we're creating them, right? We're opening the doors, and some people before us opened those doors. But like, I mean, that stuff's only 1 or 2 generations old, right? So. Yeah, if you're asking me, the state of black music in Canada is great. I mean, look at the guys I'm sitting between, right? Like I'm not saying it because they're sitting here, but like you get to see either of these guys perform, like it's a different thing. You know what I mean? It's an experience. Whereas you can go to concerts all the time, and you're watching somebody play music. I can do that with Spotify. You know what I mean? But like. to go see a show, right? And so I'd say it's great, but at the same time, being mindful that we got a ways to go, man, because, you know, as it stands right now, it's good, but I don't know if it's good for our kids yet, you know?
Okay.
So we've got to really do our jobs here, man, and you know, and take advantage of the Junos and be, like Kirk was saying, that's a business trip. Like, you know, my uncle's won music awards, and when I got the ECMA, the first thing, he came to my hotel room and he said, "That's your PhD now. Now you use that to open another door. What's next? What are you going to do with that?" Whereas a lot of artists will get that trophy and it's, "I got that trophy." You know, that trophy has completely lost value to me if I don't do something with it.
Right.
Because now we have people. There's people watching us. There's, whether we see them or not,
Yeah.
there's people watching us, man, and we're the ones giving them that hope to be able to go. So, yeah. All that to say, I think the state of black music in Canada is in a great trajectory. It's on a great run.
Exactly.
What about you, Yasete John? What do you think?
I'll definitely share his view. The only thing maybe I'll add is that we need maybe more on the radio than the current state right now. That's the only thing that I'll add, because a lot of songs that go on the radio, like they kind of have a certain format, you know. If you check those boxes, that's when you go on the radio. You know, I think it shouldn't be like this. It should be if the song is good, if the people, because you see a lot of songs that go on the radio, people don't even know it, but because they check certain boxes, that's why they go in there. You know, so, and also there's not a lot of black people on the radio.
Right.
That's the
Very
only
much so.
thing I
Very
think,
much so.
because like you said, for our kids to you know, benefit from, like I'm gonna talk about financially, benefit from our work, you know, radio is a great thing. You know, radio is a
great.
lot of
Way to
money.
get out
So
there still.
I think
Yeah.
the more we get on the radio, I think the better it will be. That's the only thing. But overall, yes, you say the trajectory is great. Like we're going up. Obviously, there's always things to improve, but I cannot but appreciate the current state right now. And you can see on a lot of labels, the heads of black people now. You know, a lot of labels. Like in Montreal, I know the guy Universal Music is a guy we know, Whitney. He's from Martinique or Guadeloupe. A lot of labels that are, you know, you see a lot of diversity. So it's a good thing. That means that they started to appreciate what's happening right now. There are a lot of people who are listening to Afro or black people's music too. You know, kind of put it in that box. I wouldn't say black people, music is music, but
Right.
you know, they acknowledge that there's money to be made in that field. So it's a good thing that things are changing. But again, more on the radio.
Lack of representation in radio.
Yes,
And,
yes, big
it's
time.
interesting to hear that
Big
there's
time.
more in A&R and stuff at record labels. I
Oh,
remember
yes.
back in like the early 2000s when a guy named Click, David Cox, became A&R at BMG. Like he was able to open some doors there. But yeah, so more representation in radio.
Most
and people
definitely.
making decisions.
Most
there.
definitely.
Thank you. Kirk Diamond, any thoughts?
I mean, I agree with both of them, right? But to play devil's
Please,
advocate,
yeah.
some of the people that, you know, are black in certain positions, they need to actually help the black artists, because some of them don't,
Reach back.
Okay, yeah.
right? So, you know, it's still, some of them are still, you know, sustaining what the problem is, just in a different skin color. You know what I mean? And I mean, it gives us a false sense of hope if they're not going to do anything.
That's true.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because we talk about this a lot on our show. But I mean, black is really an umbrella blanket term for so many different kinds of people from different cultures with different beliefs and value systems and interests in music. And because we're all here in North America, but from so many different places, sometimes there is that big challenge in actually working together and supporting ourselves. And maybe even just from years of colonialism or slavery, who knows, maybe we're still sort of somewhat subconsciously geared to work against each other.
Yeah,
To
I
feel
mean,
like there's
big
not enough
time,
of the pie.
big time.
Right?
What I find though is that I do a thing called perspective reasoning with myself so that I don't lose my mind and try to fight people,
Tell me more.
Explain, please. Yeah,
Tell me
we'd
more.
like to hear about it.
Basically, what
I
I
haven't had my coffee yet, so you got to elaborate, man.
what I do is when I see people do like actions that I don't agree with, especially in music, because that's where my heart is. I try to look at it from their perspective and reason it out from there. Like, for example, I'm having a conversation with them, but I am them, right? So for a lot of times, it's like, so for example, if a DJ doesn't play my music, right, I look at it like, what is the benefit that he gets from playing my music versus if he was supposed to play a bigger artist, right? So then it becomes a thing where it's like, are they doing it for themselves or are they doing it for the culture? Right? If they're doing it for themselves, there's nothing wrong with that. You can be selfish if you want, right? But just understand that the culture loses if you're for self.
Yes.
But if you're for culture, everybody wins, including you. You're still going to get that credit, and I don't think a lot of people see that. You know what I mean? So that's how I don't lose my mind. I understand people when they don't do certain things, when they don't make certain moves. I have to look at it as, why is it that they're doing this?
Right.
That helps you with your peace of mind, and
Yeah, it makes me not want to fight.
I know.
Yeah.
that's
I
important.
think I do something like that too, called radical compassion. I have a therapist. I keep him on tap. So that
No,
makes
but
sense.
to go back to this,
Yeah.
there's I always wonder, like, I'm like, for example, in France, because I do French music, so in
Yes.
France, they kind of like, unfortunately, or fortunately, they're kind of like 5 or 6 years ahead of us, I think, in certain ways, because in France you can hear even hard rap on the radio, like hard rap.
Right.
Like everybody get it. Like if your song is bumping, you go on the radio.
Right.
It's like, that's why everybody's making so much money right now in France. And I think last year or 2 years ago, they had the most stream. The like French hip hop rappers, they had more streams than American rappers.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's booming right now. Because when you see French, you got to see the French, like francophone countries in Africa. Because rappers in France, most of them, they're from African countries.
Yes.
So my question is, how come hip hop is the most listened genre of
Genre in
music,
the world.
but we don't have the same access to
Dollars
mainstream
coming
media?
in.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they make money from this
Industry
genre,
thing.
but they don't want to open the doors for this genre. I mean, they open, but it's not how it should be. You know, I guess to come back to what he said, in their view, they still see hip hop like violent.
Yes.
It comes with different. Like different ideas, different wrong opinions. Like I spoke with a guy, one of the biggest label in Quebec, because I went on tour with him. He said, "You know what? I'll give you an advice." And he's not African. He told me straight up. He said, "If you want to sell here, don't present yourself as a rapper. Present yourself as an artist, because rap is still not really like it's
taboo.
Exactly. So as soon as you mention you do rap, people imagine, oh, you rap violence, killings, and stuff like that, which I don't do.
Right.
But they just have it in mind. And he told me that straight up.
That's exactly
Straight
it.
up.
I actually don't. When if you look at my bios and stuff, it doesn't say rapper, hip hop artist. It's always artist, always
You see?
artist.
That's
Always
the
artist.
bad part.
Yeah, and I don't label myself as a reggae artist either.
You see?
You label yourself as a musician or
As
artist?
an artist, yeah, as a creative, yeah.
It's
so
it's
fascinating.
unfortunately,
It's
but
an unfortunate reality because
Yep.
we should be proud to label yourself as a reggae artist or rapper.
I
but
mean, that's what you get when you get me.
Once I
Right.
show up, I'm gonna rap my butt off.
well, it
but-
speaks to the problem of other people in the industry, not us. And that if that helps you get forward, that's good. I will say, I feel like even in Quebec, I feel like the francophone culture really knows how to support their own local artists. They really put a lot of effort into
Yes.
So the
supporting.
keyword is culture.
Right.
Right.
That's the keyword. It's culture.
And that's what I was going to say.
And
because
everyone wins.
I was a little surprised what you were saying about like the lack of black artists on the radio, considering Quebec, and me imagining the amount of like black francophone people that maybe are immigrating for university, coming from African countries, et cetera, and still having that result. And then when I think about the people who are probably in control of these things, I can think about, let's say, New Brunswick culture, and what would you get on French radio? It's going to be the Tintamarre and les Acadiens. It's not going to be a black French perspective, certainly not a rap perspective, because I do think if if let's say Quebec and Toronto are 5 years behind, or the Francophone communities 5 years behind France, New Brunswick's 5 years behind Toronto. And I think there's very much this like sex, drugs, violent mentality when a white French person thinks about rap, and they're not going to want that on their radios like in Shittiac.
Exactly.
That's what I'm assuming, not to
Exactly.
But
generalize.
I think there's a reality too that we're not looking at. We're only speaking about major cities,
right.
right?
Okay.
The people
Yeah.
outside of major
Rural.
cities actually do enjoy the culture more than the major cities, because major cities tend to go with trends,
Of course.
right? So, for example, so Fredericton's my last of my summer tour. Yeah, I've only had one show with like a mainly black audience.
Right.
When I have shows that is catered to like culture, I worry about how the attendance is gonna be.
Right.
Right. Meanwhile, if I go to a place like Collingwood or Blue Mountain, I know from the year before that it's sold out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're coming to hear reggae, and they're coming and they're asking me for songs that I wouldn't assume that these country people know. Like they are, real country, like Garth Brooks country, and they love reggae music, right? So I think sometimes we have to look outside of the box
Right.
to find the people that really appreciate it, and then work our way back around to the cities.
Fair.
That's deep. Yeah, no. Thanks for adding that perspective.
And I would say this next question actually goes in line with everything that we're talking about. Facing the unique challenges that Black musicians face from an industry that doesn't seem always able to understand, accept, or embrace "quote unquote" Black music, what tactics have all of you had to employ to break through the ceiling and make it to where you are today? 180 degrees.
Mine's quick. Make good music. Like at the end of the day, and I mean it sounds really simple, but like at the end of the day, if you're like Kirk keeps talking about culture, right? If you're focused on that, you're speaking to people, right? You're presenting to people, and good music is always going to be good music. You know what I mean? Like good music is always going to get some kind of response. It might be slow going sometimes,
Yep.
but like that's my. I don't have any like. I couldn't write a chapter in a book on here's what you do or anything like that. It's just make good music. Like I pay attention to what I'm creating, you know what I mean? And sometimes even why I'm creating it. You know what I mean? Like I do record a lot just off feel, and all that. But there are some times like when I wrote I Guess It's Complicated, it was just that, right? It was this is a moment.
Yes.
Something's happening in this moment. And I got to talk to my people, and I got to talk to as many of them as I can in one sitting, right? So like that song, when I sat down to write that was a, close the door, leave me be. I got stuff to do. So like tactically, I don't really have a good answer for that. It's just it's make good music, but your product always has to be good, because at the end of the day, no matter how long of a uphill climb you're on or how long, like for example, his man couldn't come to him and say, talk to me when you win a Juno, if he couldn't win a Juno.
Of course, yeah.
It's a useless conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not even relevant.
Yeah, you
right?
don't say that if you don't believe in the person.
Right. So that says, okay, you can walk away from that and say, okay, I know already that at least I make good product. I make good music. All right. Now I can take that and start figuring out who am I not getting it to, where am I not putting it, so that I can. Even as small as the ECMAs, I had no idea how that process worked and all of that, and the award system and all that stuff. I had no clue, And then it was kind of, bro. And there was an artist that won one year, and my brother actually called me. He's like, "Yo." For real? Like you didn't even get a nomination? It's like, but then I actually like played back the I was like, this isn't even actually good music.
Right.
So and I'll never say the year because that's just wrong. But
Yeah, we're not.
We know who you're talking about.
But it changed my whole kind of perspective on it. Was okay, now once I find out what this is and how it moves and how it works, I got a good product. Let's go.
Absolutely.
And we'll have. So that was my tactic. Was okay, now I know where I have to put the music because I already have good music.
Absolutely.
I know where to put it. So yeah, I would just say, man, make good music.
Of course. Before we move on, I want to ask you, because I saw you play, I guess it's complicated, yesterday for the first time, though I'd heard the song before, but it looked to me like that song obviously still like very much strikes a nerve when you perform it live, and I was getting emotional. Can you just like tell us a little bit about what it's like performing something that, like, we talk a lot about it on the show, the fact that like everyone uses George Floyd's murder as this pivotal moment, that everything was supposed to change for black people. And we're this many years out, and I'm not seeing as much change as I think we could have, should have. If anything, I see a regression, especially if you think about not only the black community, but if you want to expand further, the black community, the black queer community, the queer community, the transgender community. Like, we're starting to, it feels to me like to be a more hateful world overall. What's it like performing that now?
It's just like the day I wrote it, and even the background to writing that song, I wrote it out of a place of where I sit in Moncton. I consider myself almost a middleman. You know what I mean? So on paper, I would say I'm a Christian hip hop artist, right? So there's a couple of factors going there. One, I rap about my faith. Two, because I rap about my faith, I have a large white audience, right? But then on the other side of that, I grew up in Halifax in a very black community. You know what I mean? Like, right? And so when that happened, I found myself almost like feeling like I was kind of stuck in the middle of being the kind of bridge for the conversation, right? It's coming at me from both sides. I'm the guy that can sit down on both tables and at least have a rational conversation while we're all trying to find reasons not to, right? And so I just remember feeling the need to actually have answers, but being ridiculously exhausted and like I was just being traumatized again every time I had to have the discussion. So then I was like, well, all these people that are talking to me, they talk to me because they listen to my music. Shoot, let me give them a song, right? And just get it to them that way. So yeah, it is still, I still will perform at every opportunity I get because, like you said, that we're still not going in the right direction, in my opinion, either, right? But at the same time, I feel like once you give us those once you put that microphone in my hand, I'm an MC, and I'm responsible for making sure what I leave from that platform. So yeah, it's cool. I want you to dance and enjoy yourself and all of that, but I'm not an entertainer. Right. You know what I mean? That's not my main thing. Like I'm a teacher. I'm a let's do life, right? Of course. You know what I mean?
And you're putting yourself out there and being vulnerable about something that's affecting like a group of people, a culture, a society, but like as a black male, so specifically, there are other black men looking up. Like, I had people call me and ask, what does this impact to you? Like, white people asking me, because again, about bridging that gap, being mixed race, white people are asking me what they're supposed to do about a black man's murder in the States. And black people are asking me what my take is on this. But as like I'm a black male in this industry being looked up to, like you sort of said, you become a role model the minute you're on a stage, whether you ask for it or not, and people are going to look to you, all three of you, as like these leaders in terms of how are we supposed to be engaging with our community that way. So I think putting yourself out there and being that vulnerable is a good start.
I also have a if not me then who type attitude, right? Of course. So if I don't say it, I'm not just going to count on it that it's going to get said. You know, I gotta go do it. And for that specifically, like, so last night, it is still every time I perform, because I'm realistic too, and I know that if I'm looking out into a crowd of even 100 people, there's some imbalance in there, right? And there is somebody in that crowd that has to hear exactly what I say on that, and the fact that I address us, I address the white community, I address the police system, I address the churches, like all of it. Like I got some kickback for that line to the church. Don't hide behind your diverse seats because we're not dying in your buildings. We're out in these streets. And I got kickback for that. Like, you know, because it was the way it was said was like the way it was presented to me was it almost seemed attacking. And I was like, honestly, in that moment, I don't have time to determine whether or not
let it go.
And at the end of the day, as artists, we're creatives, right?
Exactly.
We create what we create. So you didn't necessarily give it to me anyway. I'm not afraid of you taking it.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and we'll get on with it.
Take
you know.
it as one.
But you know what I find about what you just said though, like just thinking about it, it's funny, like that's a sense of freedom to be able to do that. That artists that we may hear every day on the radio and see singing about Rolls Royces and stuff cannot say that because he has so much to lose if he says that, where we don't have anything to lose.
Right.
We just have to worry about
Culture.
the culture.
The culture.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say to go back to a question
Yes.
earlier, to change, but for people who read Machiavelli's and stuff like that, they say the best way to change the system is to be in the system,
Right.
meaning you have to learn how to operate to be able to change the operation, kind of.
Absolutely.
So I think the more and more, for example, my brothers here winning awards and see how it goes, see how it's organized, see the way they do it. I think from within, they can start, bringing and try to fight to open doors. I know it's a big responsibility, but like you said earlier, if the ones, the black people that have opportunities to be in decision-making positions, if they start like thinking like that, we're here, yes, we got the position, but let's really try to change things. If they start thinking like that, not just be the face without any impact.
Right.
I think it's gonna be worthless. So I think we don't need to run away from it. We can be in the system.
Yes.
We can win in the system while bringing our own type of impact to the system and open doors for other brothers and stuff like that. So I'm happy to see him in Ontario, him in New Brunswick, me in Quebec, talking about the same thing. And I feel like somehow we don't speak the same language, we don't have the same backgrounds, but we kind of have the same struggle somehow. So.
Yeah. And the same motivations forward. We've all
Exactly.
touched on legacy, authenticity,
Exactly.
vulnerability.
Exactly.
Very important pillars.
I mean, Kirk gave us the word for the day, man. Culture. That's what I
Yes.
keep coming back to now, as we continue to have this
Talk.
discussion.
Yeah.
Like that's where I keep coming back to. Like
And we have to
cultural
hold
stuff.
people accountable too. You know what I mean? Like I got kicked off of a festival last year because of that. Right? So like,
Oh wow.
yeah, it was sponsored by a record label in the States, and the representative for the label basically said that he didn't care what the content of the music was as long as it sold. Right?
Okay.
So like to your George Floyd point,
Yes.
right? He didn't give a crap about George Floyd.
Right.
If the music said we should kill 10 more George Floyds and it sold,
Sold.
he's
Right.
about it.
Wow.
Right? So I called him out on it, and it was like panel discussion like this. I was like, what are you talking about? You're an idiot.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Even to say it out loud, that's what people think. We like
Yeah.
they think it,
Yeah, it's
we
like-
know that's how they think. Because if you see the
Right.
the guys that are getting opportunities right now, if you don't rap about killings and girls and whatever, you don't get signed somehow. So
Right.
So it's like, so with him now, he was like, we should listen to him because he has 40 years of experience in the music business. When you think about it, music isn't the same as 40 years ago. All of us have the same friggin' 5 years of experience, maybe even a year now because it keeps on changing. So his 40 years of experience is irrelevant, right? Because we're not living in that time where you had to have a label that is giving you $1 million and is putting CDs and records
we
in,
got TikTok now.
Right.
you know what I mean? And I sell my own.
This man got IG live.
You know what I mean? Like
going
we have all
nonstop.
the ways now. It's
I've been on more flights with Kirk Diamond.
it's crazy. We have more ways now, but it's very true. It's very true. But I think one of the things I don't know if you mentioned that also is that taking accountability. We also as black artists, we have to know that we also play a part of what's going on. I wouldn't say we play the big part, but we also play a part. If we just keep doing what they tell us to do, nothing gonna change.
But we gotta
Absolutely.
also accept the confidence that we deserve. Like you said it earlier, Clinton, when we were starting, that like what we do influences all of North American music. Now, the way I read that, the way that translates to me, is the arts don't move without us.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's how I read that, you know, and so there's an element to that where, you know, 20 years ago, yes, you needed those labels and you needed all that stuff to have success, but like what we're getting now and what I'm seeing now is that one, we don't. Sure, it can help, you know, but like at the end of the day, if we build this thing ourselves, kind of like what all three of us have done and is doing, we build it ourselves, then you can have a certain confidence on, like I can actually go say whatever I want to say because this was built organically. You didn't just give me a check and then I gotta work it off for you to get it back to you. You know what I mean? Like this was built. This was built on authenticity. You know what I mean? So if there's something that, again, that I have to address, I'm not going to hesitate to address it because I mean, I'm not tied to that.
So we do really have to learn how to use our voice because we made the music and we made the music that it influences all genres. And, you know, without us, there's no real
doesn't-
music in North
Exactly.
It doesn't
America.
move
It's
without
going to
us.
fall off. The world isn't going to be interested
I
in
feel like-
music that doesn't come from us. And but we have to learn to use our voice.
For sure.
speak up for
But
what we need.
There's a balance, right? Like we can't just go storm
Exactly.
through everything.
That's what
But
I'm
at the
saying.
same time,
Yeah.
like we
Assert yourself.
for traditionally we've gone into those offices. Like I'm so thankful that you said what you said in that panel discussion because we've traditionally gone into those rooms and in those offices and looked at it from a, we need something from you, right? We've come in with that perspective. When in reality, it don't move without you. You need something from us,
Yeah.
and so let's figure out what that partner. Now we don't need to steamroll anything, but let's figure out what that partnership looks like.
Absolutely.
You know, they have a resource. We have the product. What's the plan here?
Exactly.
I want to ask one more sort of, it's really for artists, a bit of a technical question, and then I think we'll wrap up with just any final thoughts, any advice you have, or just anything else you want to input. And that question is that, you know, many artists, even if they're musically talented and they have all their music together, they struggle with the business aspects of the music industry. And I'm just curious, how did you, three of you, educate yourself on contracts, rights, financial management? I'm sure you have managers, but there's also every
He's
artist
here.
says that. I know.
He can't speak English, but he's here.
But in music, you do have to market yourself a lot, right?
sure.
Even with a manager.
For
So
sure.
yeah, how did you educate yourself on the ins and outs, contracts,
I think
financial management?
the first thing, especially right now, you have to be in touch with the reality. You have to be in touch with the current waves and what's happening right now. For example, like you said, we still need like big music labels because you know they have the curators, they have the distributions, they have the resources and stuff like that. But right now you can do 2-3 millions on YouTube off your video on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, like we have multiple ways now to sell our music or to get more exposure without spending a dime. But you have to know, you have to learn. Like me right now, my younger brother is teaching me how to use TikTok a little more because he's making millions of views on TikTok on things that he drink a water in a certain way. I'm like, how you do? Like I kill myself 12 hours in the studio and then you just do it like
You make a little
2 hours. That's it. You know. Shout out to Casalito. So, so it's like you have to be in touch with the reality how it's happening right now. Second, obviously, the legal side of it.
Yeah.
You know, get in touch with people who really know how the thing is because multiple times I almost signed the wrong deals. Like we almost did the wrong thing.
That's what I'm getting at.
But thank God every time, like me and my manager, we went before signing because right now I'm signed to a label called Polen Records.
Okay.
It's in it's Polen and Quality. They're in France, in Quebec and in France. I don't know if you know a guy called Taiki. I mean, his song Aya Nakamura. Big people, big French people.
I may know the song, but
Yeah.
not the artist.
Oh,
name.
Jaja, whatever. You know heard that?
Okay.
Anyway, that's Aya. But Taiki is one of the guys, and his producers, those are the people that we signed with.
Okay.
Now, so, but before signing with them, we got in touch with Elodie, a lady that we know. We went to lawyers and stuff like that. We spoke with multiple people before signing. So I met with a lot of labels, Universal, blah, 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 to, you know, mention a few. And it was the vibe was good, but even them, they asked us, go see because young artists, when you're excited, you know, you come to a room with like, you see big people like enter Universal, you see Cardinal official, whatever, picture it here. You see, what you call it, Stromae, I think. You know, Stromae's picture was like big. Justin Bieber. I'm like, wow. You go to Sony, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're kind of starstruck. But that's sometimes how they get young artists to sign whatever, because they know I can make $5 million off of you, but I'll give you 100,000. But for you, 100,000, you're coming from the trenches. Like 100,000 for you is like $1 billion. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's very important to know the legal part of it, the legal side of it, and to get in touch with people who know. At the end of the day,
spend the money, hire the people to make sure that you don't get screwed over.
But check yourself too, because it's not because they are lawyers that they cannot screw you over. Forgive my French, but you know, you always have to kind of like double check your stuff. Always double check your stuff yourself.
Hire the right people, but educate yourself.
Educate yourself. It's very important to educate, especially the state we live now. You know, like everything, money comes from everywhere. So if you don't know where the money is coming from, all the state coming from. Some people know the money coming from there.
Someone knows.
They're not going to tell you.
Right.
They're not going to tell. I know a friend of mine. His name is, but I wouldn't say his name. But 2 years ago, he knew. I mean, they told him about this company. It's in the States. They collect money from like artists, stuff like that. Yeah, royalties.
Yeah.
But it's in the States. But because he plays
Didn't even know it was being
plays on
collected.
online radios,
Yeah.
he also plays in the States. He didn't know. He's
Didn't
in
know
Montreal.
all that money was building
sounds
up. And
Canada.
Yeah.
didn't access.
I think Sound Exchange, something like that.
Yeah, Sound Exchange.
Okay.
So
They keep
someone
his
mentioned it to him. For 10 years, didn't know. And he checked, he had 120,000 laying there.
Wow.
He didn't
that's
know.
important
He
advice
didn't
for
know.
emerging artists.
Wow.
He didn't know.
Amazing.
They just
Thank
mentioned
you.
it. He went there, he put his name, he didn't even pay for whatever. 120,000.
That's a good day though when you get 100.
You know what I
you
mean?
just, like,
For
turn
10
on a
years,
computer and get
he was playing in the
120,000.
States. For 10 years on online, I think Cyrus FM, something like that.
Wow.
For 10 years, he was playing in the States. He didn't know. But, you know, you have to educate yourself.
Valuable. Okay. Either of you.
I paid to learn. Meaning I made
School?
no.
Okay. Oh, you paid. Oh, you.
No,
school.
like I
Through mistakes.
yes.
Gotcha.
We all did,
Okay,
bro.
go on.
We all
Yeah.
did.
At least $500,000 worth of mistakes. Right?
I wouldn't say that.
No, seriously. Because I was working in Saskatchewan in the mines, so I had money, right? And me being like, okay, I have the money, so I could do it. It's almost like I was trying to find like the easy way to whatever. And you know, when you're dealing with reggae, it's a lot of payola, and your play stops when your money ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Pay to get exposure.
Right. So it's
Skills.
like
I see.
I was paying for everything, and I was bringing other artists with me because I hate doing things by myself, right? So that's how I ended up learning. Okay, maybe with less money. Now that I'm not doing that, I'm like, okay, I learned from this $2,000 that I shouldn't do this that way or whatever.
No, you have to. You have to make mistakes too.
And then also what I do is I learn from older artists' mistakes. You have
Mentors.
not even
from their
mentors,
mistakes.
from their
Sorry, go on.
mistakes. So, for example, like you have older artists that they're just stuck in the way that they did it. They won't see it any other
Adapt.
way,
Right.
right? So it's like you'll have like an artist from like the 80s when music videos just really start becoming a thing. For him, this is the wickedest music video in the world, not understanding that technology has changed and you can have a better, but he does not want that. He wants how it looked in the 80s. So I try to always have an open mind to be accepting of younger talent where I may not know, and young and new technology to help me along the way in it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And I know you have to make mistakes along the way, but our goal is to help minimize
Yes. I
the
mean, by
mistakes
making
new
mistakes,
artists.
I know
No,
it kind of sounds
No, you're
bizarre,
right.
but
No, you're right.
it depends on. I wouldn't say $1 million worth of mistakes.
No, not million.
Half a mil. I mean, still half a mil, bro.
That's telling.
Half a mil to me is $1 billion
telling, bro.
right now. But yeah, I mean, it's like when you're a kid, you know, you learn two lessons. You know, the difference between school and life is that in school you learn lessons and then you pass the class, right?
Yeah.
But then in life, you have to pass certain stuff to learn the lesson.
Yes.
So
No. Yeah, as a parent, you want your kids to make mistakes, but not
Exactly.
mistakes that are going to ruin their life.
No, for sure,
yeah,
for
that
sure,
balance.
for sure, for
180.
Yeah, I think like so both answers again were great. We're a pretty good panel, fellas.
I know, right?
Great East Coast.
Take this around.
Rapping, man. We should do it for a living.
Right? So yeah, I
Track
think
coming.
I think both answers were great, but I think what I'd add for myself, like as a rapper when I started out, it was the same. Like I wanted to have 20 people with me, and but now now if you're traveling with me, you got to roll. You have some, but like if you're with me, I've invested in you learning how to do whatever that role is. Like even with our band, like because I perform with a live band now, and even that, like, I need this thing for my done, like that will do,
Right.
because you have a role. You're not just coming with me to get per diems, like. At a certain point, I would say, if as advice, if you're a new or emerging artist, like, and we've talked a little bit about it, like, get your business right. Like, this isn't about a hangout session. You know what I mean? That'll come, and you can do that, and the people that really got your back will be okay with that. But I look at the LeBron James model, right? Like, this guy comes into the NBA and then educated all his friends. True. So now his agent is his boy, right? Who now has his own company. Like, I think that's the longevity piece. So yeah, bring your friends with you, but teach them something. Teach them something. Give them something to do. Help them out. In turn, they're going to do their job that benefits what you're doing in that time. But now they have an income stream, right? They got something they can do. And when we're writing grants or whatever else, we got to come up with funding for. Now we can add people we trust. You know what I mean? So like my road manager, he's really good at the communication piece, but I 100% trust him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like him and I are good. Like, so yeah, I go over everything and I get a second look at everything and make sure that everything's what it's supposed to be. But I also know that he's not just doing what he's doing because I'm a check. Mm-hmm. Right? He's doing what he's doing because we have that relationship. He cares about me, and he understands that he gets to enjoy all this stuff. If I get to enjoy it, he gets to enjoy it. But he's doing something too.
And the enjoyment isn't the priority.
Right. He's not just taking it. Right. And that's something that happens to a lot of artists, and it's happened to me big time, and obviously to you, and obviously to you too. Is like, you want to bring everybody, you want to make it something that everybody can benefit and eat off of, but that's just not realistic. And if you want your squad to be who's with you, then teach them something that can make it so that we're all earning this together.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this has been an incredible panel with an amazing East Coast Canadian representation. We want to thank the three of you for taking the time to be with us. We think you've definitely added value to emerging artists and just to your fans and the public to learn more about you as well.
For sure.
We have Yaseti Don, 180, and Kirk Diamond. Do you gentlemen want to quickly just call out any socials for anyone who's audio listening to this?
Sure. Yaseti Don. You can check me on Instagram or all platforms. YACETIDON. As soon as you write ACE, you find me. And we have an album with my crew, Trois Prod. That's coming on October 6th. So make sure you check it. Also, you can go check out Trois Prod, which is 3H Prod, 3-hour prod,
Okay, perfect.
But
Thank you.
Thank you.
You need a link tree for the interview.
I know.
we're going to post it.
Thank you for having me.
We'll figure that part out
It was
after.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
180?
Yeah, so I just give the Instagram account because then everything else is attached to it. So if you go to my Instagram, it's 180_KMF. So ONE 8 TEA and _KMF. So hit me up on the socials on that. And new single just came out on Friday. I'm So Fly. Go check that out.
Charted number 7 in the inspirational songs on iTunes.
Number 7, yeah.
Congratulations.
So that's I think that's my third or fourth top 10 start, but that don't mean nothing. It'll last 24 hours, but it's a cool start. It's a great opening day picture, right? And I thank everybody who contributed.
Don't undervalue.
To it.
Don't minimize your
Appreciate it, for real,
accomplishments.
for real.
That's great. Kirk Diamond.
Instagram at Kirk Diamond, KIRKDIAMOND. and everything's there. And look out for the Dread album October 6th.
Amazing.
And if you're in Brampton, head out to the park.
Yes, and load it.
Yeah, we gotta check that out.
I'm gonna have to pull up.
All right, well, we are here again at SummerSoulsa
SummerSoulsa
2023 down in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Representing BlackLantic, I'm Clinton Davis.
I'm Cropberry.
And we out. Thank you.
Clap.
I don't think
Yay,
it's a
we
clap
did
to
it.
end this. We don't have to sync the.
Like, do we sync the end? Well, we
I
might.
don't.